Hey everyone, Irit here, and today I have an art journaling video for you. Now, I have to tell you that my art journaling process has completely changed in the last week or so, I would say. So if you've been following me, you probably know my watercolor art journals, and I definitely don't intend on stopping using those. I still have watercolors and I still use watercolors, but I've been watching, all the Ranger demos in Creativation, or previously known as CHA videos, and I was just, watching Dina Wakley, and I love her style and I love her art, and I was so inspired, and I just wanted to grab my Dina Wakley media journal, I think they call it, that I've had in my stash for quite a while, and you can see it's been used, but it was kind of neglected, and because I didn't really know how to use the craft and canvas and burlap papers that come in this journal. So if you're not familiar with this journal, it has 4 different surfaces in it. There is some mixed media type of paper, which is fantastic. It's kind of like watercolor paper, but it doesn't really behave like the watercolor paper that I'm used to, because it's handmade and it's just a different surface, and it's fantastic. I love it. And then there's the craft, which I hate. I'm learning to deal with it and make it and turn it into something that I like. And then there's the canvas, which I'm kind of liking, and the burlap, which I don't like so much. It's just so coarse, and the brown color. If they made everything white, I would totally be happy about these different surfaces, or like white and cream. That would totally work for me. And yes, I know I can paint them white, but come on, people, indulge me a little bit. So my process totally changed, and that's why I also found it. I have a ton of footage of me working in my art journal, but I am now really kind of working on several pages at the same time, and that makes filming a process video from start to finish of one page extremely difficult, because in theory I would have to sift through lots of videos to find every piece of footage of me making a certain layout. So I'm trying. I think here is mostly 2 spreads in my art journal, and I will just try to talk you through what I'm doing and what I'm using and what I'm loving and what's working for me, and hopefully give you a lot of tips and tricks that you can also use. Now, I don't think I've ever scrapbooked this way, art journaled this way in my journals, and I'm not sure why. I never really liked cutting up magazines and that sort of thing and putting them in my pages. Not sure why. I think some of it was that I want to use my own art, and I just never fell in love with using a focal point that is, I don't know, let's say a model from a magazine or an image from a magazine. That's just never attracted me personally, and that's why I feel like my art journals were lacking in a more interesting layered look, because I didn't want to use other things from my stash or from magazines. I kind of wanted to paint everything myself, and since I'm not yes, I have a lot of mileage in my art journals and definitely in scrapbooking, but I'm not as I'm not super happy about my images a lot of the time, and about things that I draw a lot of the time, and it's just, I don't know, something wasn't really clicking for me in art journaling, and then I moved on to art journaling in mostly with watercolors in watercolor journals, so sketchbooks with watercolor paper, and that really worked well for me. And I also became better at like painting flowers and painting faces, and I was really feeling that medium. And then, like really in the last, I don't know, week or 2 weeks, I kind of started playing more in this journal as opposed to watercolor journal. And I had all these stuff, like ephemera pieces and canvases and all kinds of things. And I thought, okay, maybe I should just start sticking things down. I was watching Dina Wakley and I was watching her journals, and she has a lot of like these layers, you know, tags and then stamped images and then just different surfaces and different bits and pieces and different shapes and different layers. And I totally fell in love with that. And I also really felt that if I had, you know, the possibility to layer these different things and also mix my own art, which you will see me use my printables in this video, that it made it more like me. And till now I was always kind of like, yes, I can use, you know, I can do kind of a, I don't know, use a dilution stamp and or use a Dina Wakley stamp, and it will kind of look like an art journal spread of Diane Rivley or Dina Wakley. Not that I'm as good, but it was kind of like, okay, that will turn out like they would do it. And I know people totally bring their own vibe to it, even when they use you know, stamps and stencils of other artists. But I always struggle with, like, I want things to look like I made them, but I don't know how how to make them or how I want them to look. And here things really started to click for me. This was seriously like a breakthrough, and it totally came from the place of, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just gonna start and see what happens. So you can never underestimate the value of playing, and even if you don't feel inspired, just start doing something. So in my case, it was like, I don't know what to do with this journal anymore. I don't like gessoing everything. I don't like having to wait for paint to dry. So I'm gonna try and do this my way and see how it works for me. And yeah, I'm just so happy about this development, and I'm really excited to share with you more videos, more techniques, and just telling you what's working for me. So I'm just trying to explain to you, because you probably know, if you know me, then you probably know this is kind of very different from what I usually do. I mean, the color palette is pretty much me, and as always, I really find that I can make a huge mess in my art journal, but if I adore the colors, I'm gonna be happy with it. So another thing that is really exciting to me about these adventures in my journal is the possibility to use my scrapbooking supplies and mixed media and art journaling supplies. And because 2018 is the year of the stash for me, so I'm really looking forward to using my stuff, and then I feel, you know, good about buying new stuff if I want some, and it's all good. So in this spread, for example, I have this gorgeous bag. What are these called? Like, what is the material called? I can't remember, but you know, it's usually used for like packaging and this stripy, gorgeous, hot pink one came in an old Planner Society kit. So they pack their kits beautifully. And glassine bag, is it glassine? I think so. So this bag came from one of their kits, and let me tell you, if you're like triggered in a good way by, you know, tactile experiences and the rustling of crunchy paper, then use glassine bags in your art journals and use mists with them. So make them wet, and I used them here with stencils, and oh my gosh, it's just, you know, if you love like using watercolors with Tomoe River paper, I'm also using Tomoe River paper in my layers in my art journal. It's fantastic. It's amazing. It's life-changing. good that I'm not super dramatic. But I can't tell you how excited I am about this, and I'm slowly working, because I'm kind of moving from page to page as I'm finishing this journal. I'm working in this journal. I can't wait to show you the entire journal, and I hope that this will inspire you to try new things in your art journal. Obviously, a lot of the techniques here would work really well also for scrapbook layouts. So you see now I moved to the other, like another spread in my art journal, and I'm adding some of my printables. Now my printables are available if you are a patron of mine on Patreon. And if you are, then every month you get exclusive printables of my original art, and these can't be, you can't find these anywhere else. And I added a new reward for Patreon, which is a video only for Patreon and showing you some inspiring ways of using the any month's printables. And here you can see, and of course I also share this on my YouTube, and I also make more videos, not just the ones for Patreon. So one of the goals of being on Patreon is having the possibility to make also more videos for YouTube. So yeah, and I just love working with my printables. It's like so much fun. So if you have a piece of art or an art journal spread that you made that you love, use it again. Make a picture of it, scan it, and then print it on different surfaces and use it again in your art journal. So this printable I actually printed on Tomoe River paper, and oh my god, it turned out amazing. The paper is amazing, and using it in my art journal is fantastic. It's very thin. If you're not familiar with Tomoe River paper, it's very, very thin, so it doesn't add a lot of bulk. Even though my journal is getting seriously bulky, I've never had such a chunky journal. And yeah, but the Tomoe River paper is very thin. Another handy tool that I'm using is my hot glue gun. My hot glue gun has been kind of in hiatus sabbatical. It took some time off my hot glue gun because I wasn't using it a lot in my art journal, but here it's in my scrapbooking, and also in my art journal because I wasn't doing any layering or gluing anything. But now I'm using it all the time like crazy because it's so fast and so easy and works on everything, and I don't have to wait for glue to dry and worry that things will move around. So I'm loving it. And here I added some printables that I had, some older printables of the amazing Wilna Furstenberg, and I just love combining everything. And then I stamped using this Dina Wakley stamp. I just stamped it on my printable. So all that color that you see there below the stamp is my printable. And then I fussy cut the flower and stuck it, and I'm just adding all kinds of bits and pieces to the top of this girl's face. And yeah, and I added some stenciling. I mixed my own inks to make spray inks, and I'm using the mini misters for that. And so some of are like custom colors, and then others are just colors as they come in the PH Martin Radiant watercolor range. So this is just a starter video to show you what I'm doing right now, and hopefully I can share some more in the near future. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next video.